freedom is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
Grab a cup of coffee at this late night hour and get ready for some real information. My name is S.M. Gibson, and this is Anti-Media Radio, September the 10th, 2015, 14 years to the day of Donald Rumsfeld announcing that the Pentagon is missing $2.3 trillion. Yikes. The next day, 14 years from tomorrow, something happened. Shane, you remember what happened?
Refresh my memory. I'm still thinking about $2.3 trillion missing.
Well, wait till what they celebrate tomorrow, or I guess celebrate, remember, never forget.
Why do we have a celebration of the $2.3 trillion coming up missing? I mean, that's a horrible loss.
It really is. As always, joined in the studio with our wonderful producer, Mr. Shannon Madden. Shannon, how you doing?
$2.3 trillion. That's with a T. $trillion.
That's it.
And it's strange that happened. What was today's date? Is September 10th. So this is the September 10th. What happened? September 11th. Oh, yeah.
Something happened.
Yeah, something big happened. We weren't talking about $2.3 trillion anymore.
Yeah, that's true. 823 people have been killed so far by police officers in the United States of America. In 2015, 83 police officers have died in the line of duty. 2,069 people have been shot in the city of Chicago, despite their strict gun laws don't seem to be working out for them. 356 homicides, and the great American ally that does what they want, Saudi Arabia, 132 executions on the year, most of those by beheading. And that doesn't include what they are doing right now in Yemen, which the United States, of course, is backing. Saudi Arabia is leading the strikes in Yemen. So that's going on right now. Sitting here trying to get my notes together, but we've had over 4,500 people killed in Yemen so far since March, thanks to the United States and Saudi Arabia.
And cluster bombs.
Yeah, cluster bombs. That's happening.
Let's go ahead and bring that up too, and let's discuss in real ways that how these 4,500 people have died. And let us go ahead and remind our listeners, as we do every single time this subject comes up, is that a vast majority of those people are civilians that are not walking around with a gun in their hand or intent on doing any harm against anybody. So there's that.
It's really terrifying that all this is going unreported, and especially when we've got what we've got coming up tomorrow, 15 of the 19 hackers being from Saudi Arabia, coming back on last week, the visit from the Saudi royal family, where, we discussed on Tuesday, they rented out 222 rooms, every single room in the Four Seasons in Washington, D.C.
Wonder how much that costs.
More than a couple of dollars.
We're not talking about the Days Inn, folks. We're not talking about the Motel 6. They didn't leave a light on for them.
So, let's see here. What do you think we do to resolve the issue? I mean, look at the refugee crisis we've got going on right now. Saudi Arabia, they can't get, they're not taking anybody in. Israel's not taking anybody in.
I don't know. I'll dump it, see what happens.
So,
again, America does not need to be involved in what's going on in the Middle East as far as oil is concerned. Let's start there. And I know we talk about this so much, and then the subject gets brought up so much that a lot of people kind of lose focus on, I don't know, they just completely lose focus on why we're over there to begin with. And it keeps going on about, 9/11 this, 9/11 that. How many, what was that stat again that you just spouted out about how many hijackers were from Iraq? Oh, wait a minute. No, there we're not Iraqi. How many of them were from Afghanistan? Wait a minute. No, it's none of them from Afghanistan.
15 of the 19 were from Saudi Arabia, who, again...
So why have we bombed the hell out of Afghanistan, and why have we bombed the hell out of Iraq? Well, of course, to get Saddam out, because, that was an experiment that went awry. Sorry about that, y'all. Won't happen again.
But it's scary when the Saudi royal family is coming over to the United States and renting out every single room in the Four Seasons. Again, not cheap. 222 rooms.
Well, I mean, you see what's going on over the Middle East.
And we're helping them. We're helping them destroy Yemen.
Yeah, of course.
Cluster bombs.
That's it. Cluster bombs. That is, and for the uninitiated that are listening, cluster bombs are, well, they're not supposed to be used, are they? In a humane war. Humane war.
Yeah.
You can't make this stuff up, man. You really can't.
Can you say irony?
Yeah.
And what's scary is we've got this refugee crisis going on right now, which, a lot of the world is focusing anger on, like, oh, we don't want these people in our country. But nobody's taking into account why these people have to leave their country. We're talking about 4 million Syrians have been displaced. 4 million. At the beginning of 2012, there were approximately like 10,000, 9,000 Syrian refugees in the world. Now there's 4 million. The country has a population of a little over 20 million.
Well, and again, we just looked up a stat a moment ago, too, that also, this is from the United Nations, saying that the people that have not left Syria, that are still within the borders of Syria, that have lost their homes, have been displaced within the country, top 6 million. One figure said 6.5 million. So you have half. And the refugee crisis, let's get that straight right now. That's horrible. I mean, if you've seen pictures, video of the various different Syrian refugee camps that have been set up in and around the Middle East, I mean, it's horrible. But also you have an additional 6.5 million people that lost their home that are still trapped in Syria that can't get out.
Can you imagine?
And I mean, I think that right there is something that people need to be talking about too, because those are people that are right directly still in the line of fire.
But okay. But the majority of the displacement is coming from Syria, but also we've got this problem going on in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya. What 4 countries has the United States stuck their nose in? Gaddafi, anybody? Saddam Hussein, anybody? We didn't go to Afghanistan, did we? And now Syria. Clearly, they've been wanting to take out Assad for a long time. And a headline from the other day just, to me, summed everything up. It was Australia, and it said something about Australia takes in 12,000 Syrian refugees, plans on airstrikes, extended airstrikes into Syria. So it's like they're using the refugees as saying, we told you it was bad, so now we've got to go do this. We told you it was bad. But people are looking at it and saying, well, these countries, they don't want to take in these refugees. And I think for the most part they don't, because we're talking about Lebanon has taken in 1.1 million refugees. 1 in 5 people in Lebanon right now are from Syria. They have had to leave their homes. And so, the Western countries are taking in a few thousand here, a few thousand there, except for Israel and Saudi Arabia. They're not, taking any. Despite...
Wait a minute, Saudi Arabia's not taking any? I mean, they at least...
Well, they say they are, and there was a report that came out today that they are building some places in Germany, I believe, to house some of these refugees, but... Yeah, it's Saudi Arabia, so, whatever.
Well, Germany currently stands at about 99,000. I mean, Germany has at least taken in, and not a, disproportionate share, but, they've taken in a few. And I say a few because, again, Lebanon's taken in 1.1 million. That number is projected to be higher. These are people, the numbers that we're quoting are also people that are registered as refugees within these countries.
Yeah, that's just people that are registering. I mean, think about the people
a lot of governments are estimating higher numbers.
Yeah, people that aren't being
Turkey's taking in almost 2 million. I mean, that's, 2 million. Wow.
I mean, think about, in the United States, it's from the United States getting involved. This wasn't happening before the United States stuck their nose in everybody's business. Why is this not being reported all over the TV? Why? Who are they covering for? Why can't the media discuss what's really happening in the world? They would rather sit there and go on and on and on about Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. And, while, on some level, I guess those things are relevant, we're talking about millions of people being displaced because of U.S. policy. And that just goes completely ignored.
And, just to put this number into focus, we broadcast this show from Birmingham, Alabama. The state of Alabama currently houses almost 5 million people. And currently we stand at, I believe, 4.1 million that we know of. And that's since 2012. That number is projected to hit 5 million easily by this time next year. Probably from what we're seeing right now, their projection is going to come a lot sooner. That's like the whole state of Alabama just picking up and moving on and just hollowing out the whole entire state, which Alabama's a pretty decent-sized state, pretty big state. Just getting up and going, getting the hell out.
Okay,
we got to go.
For anybody that's ever watched The Walking Dead, there's about that many people in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And it would just be like Atlanta emptying out.
Incredible. And again, if it were Atlanta, emptying out, the whole entire world would just be absolutely focused on it. Mm-hmm. And the whole entire world is focused on this.
To some degree.
And that's incredible that 4 million people would be affected by something like this. And the rest of the world just kind of shrugs, they grudgingly we'll let a few of them in. Today, the Obama administration grudgingly allowed, we're going to bring in 10,000 of these refugees over a year's time. That's kind of where we're at with that. The whole thing's just sickening. It really is. And again, this is you as an American taxpayer that are listening to this broadcast. You're helping fund this war, whether you like it or not. And, you know, if you think that there's a good or a right reason for us to be over there, and you wave your flags just like a lot of other folks will tomorrow when the trade towers went down. And look, my heart goes out to every family member, every friend, every person that lost someone at 9/11. That was a horrendous incident. But we need to start asking harder questions about why that happened in the first place. And your questioning doesn't need to cease. You know, a lot of people have just kind of got to a certain point with it, and they're just so burned out by it. You know, particularly after it happened. I mean, you know, you got to the point where, you know, even watching that horrendous, footage that we saw of all of these people dying right in front of our eyes, and, you know, burning bodies flying out the windows, people trying to save themselves. At least I'll just take a jump instead of go through this. I mean, that was horrible. It's one of the most horrible, gut-wrenching things I've ever seen, ever, in my lifetime. On national TV, right there in front of us. But people got so burnt out by it. And 9/11, and suddenly became this champion to go ahead and completely eradicate quite a few essential constitutional amendments.
Well, I think too, if you look at the
and we also quit talking about $2.3 trillion that come up missing the day before.
I think too. I think the majority of America is finally getting over the whole 9/11 cheerleading, because if you look at the first Republican debate, Rand Paul and Chris Christie were going back and forth and talking about, you know, the erosion of rights and the Fourth Amendment and spy on Americans, and Chris Christie just goes into 9/11, you know, like that has to do with anything, and Rand Paul on national TV just rolled his eyes at him, like, are you serious? Are you really pulling this card out? You know, if that would have been 5 years ago, and you know, maybe even less, and he would have rolled his eyes when somebody mentioned 9/11, I think that would have been a top story. I think you would have had a lot of Americans calling Rand Paul a traitor and this, that, and the other, and, you know, it wasn't even mentioned.
Yeah,
really, from the debates. Right. So I think Americans are over this using 9/11 to justify anything and everything, even though politicians are still definitely trying to play that card. Yeah. So, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, tomorrow it'll be a big, you know, everybody will remember how terrible everything was, and it genuinely was. But that doesn't mean that is an excuse to go into every country in the world and for, you know, we're talking 4.4 million Syrians. This is the current crisis we're dealing with, okay? We're not talking about, you know, the million Iraqis that died in that situation. We're not talking about all the innocent people that have died in Afghanistan. We're not talking about the complete upheaval that has gone on in the entire Middle East as a result of 9/11 and the erosion of our rights here in the United States. But somehow, you know, as horrible as it was, 3,000 people, does that really justify the death of 3,000 people? Does that justify going in and killing millions more overseas? And
we can take it back even further than 9/11, though. Let's go pre-9/11 with all the involvement that we had over in the region. How Saddam Hussein eventually came into power to begin with. And America's backhanded involvement with his invasion of Iran. And then eventually us coming back over to Iraq and bombing the hell out of them in the early 90s. And I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Our conflict with the Russians via the Sandinistas, who eventually became Al Qaeda. I mean, we can go on for hours and hours just pre 9/11. But long before all of this has happened, American involvement has been stirring up that ant pile for so long, and essentially forcing people out of their homes, forcing them then into other countries, and living in tents now. I mean, it's absolutely horrible. It really is.
It's just infuriating that people justify this death based purely on fear. And that's what it is. They've allowed the fear to take over, and they let it control their lives. And even when you look at the refugee crisis right now, or Trump talking about Mexicans coming over the border, it's like, oh, we don't want these people coming here. We're so scared, and everything is based in fear. Everything is based in fear.
How can America trust a man who has that much money and still has hair that looks like that? I have no idea. That boggles my mind. It really does.
Well, welcome to America.
He does have a hot piece of ass for a wife, though. I mean, let's go.
And that was his statement. What was it in Esquire?
She is a hot piece of ass. Sorry, she is.
So, anyway, Shannon, we went over the stats at the beginning of the show. I'm gonna go ahead and repeat them for everybody. 823 Americans have been killed so far this year by police officers. 83 police officers have died in the line of duty. 2,069 people, despite the strict gun laws, have been shot in the city of Chicago. 356 homicides in the Windy City. And again, Saudi Arabia, 132 executions, majority of which beheadings. Over 4,500 killed in Yemen, Saudi Arabia. And again, 4 million people.
Why are we there?
Well,
why are we there?
There's a story that I think is quite funny. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Genie. It is an oil.
You really sure you want to talk about this?
Yeah. It's an interesting story. It's an oil.
I think you're making a whole lot of nothing out of it. I'm sorry, but we were heavily divided before we came on air with this. I think he's making a whole lot of nothing out of it. But just go ahead and tell him. Just tell him.
Okay, there is a company, and this company has recently been granted the rights to drill for oil in the Golan Heights, which is disputed territory between Syria and Israel. If oil was found there, Syria would definitely say, no, this belongs to us. The point being, the members of the board on Genie, it kind of reads like an Onion article talking about conspiracies, because it has Rupert Murdoch, it has Dick Cheney, and it has Lord Jacob Rothschild on the board of directors. So
I think you're making a whole lot of nothing, or a whole lot of something out of nothing about this.
I'm sure there's nothing nefarious going on.
Cheney and Rothschild are involved. I mean, how much trouble could it really be?
Look, old Jake Rothschild. He is just a humanitarian. He doesn't.
Sweet guy.
He really is. He's got a Lord in front of his name.
I mean,
Paul McCartney isn't a Lord.
No, he's just a piddly old knight.
Yeah.
Elton John's a knight too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Draw your own conclusion there.
So, Paul McCartney wrote Hey Jude. So, I think there's nothing going on there. So, if you want to look into Genie Oil and the Golan Heights and Syria and Jacob Rothschild, Dick Cheney, and Rupert Murdoch. And they announced new board members as well this week too. Bill Richardson, another guy, who is ex-head of the
Here,
CIA.
we said we were going to do this. We need to do this right. Sorry. Go ahead. Keep talking. Rothschild, Bill Richardson. Keep going.
Yeah, I think you're referring to the evil empire
Yeah.
of the world. So basically, that's what we're dealing with. The evil empire is drilling for oil in Syria.
No, man, it's just Dick Cheney. Oh, wait a minute. Dick Cheney shoots people.
Dick Cheney was a nice man. He was a nice old man.
He's not a lord, though.
He was a nice
That's why they
old
brought
man.
the Rothschild in, because they needed a lord.
Let me pull up the complete list here of everybody.
Yeah, while the music's still playing, please.
Let me do this, because this is, I think, if we're going to go conspiracy hour here, which it's no conspiracy. A press release issued by Genie Energy announces additions to their advisory board. The Honorable Bill Richardson, Senator Mary Landrieu, James Woosley, and Lawrence Summers. Lawrence Summers is a president at Harvard. He also served as the 71st Secretary of the Treasury under Bill Clinton.
That guy.
And was the director of the National Economic Council for President Obama. Also Bill Richardson, which was the governor.
Notice how it got really, really intense when you said Obama? Yeah.
Bill Richardson, which was the governor of New Mexico from 2003 to 2011. He was also the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and energy secretary in the Clinton administration. He was the chairman of the Democratic National Convention and also the chairman of the Democratic Governors Association. Mary Landrieu was a U.S. Senator from Louisiana from 1996 to 2014. She was on the Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources. In her capacity as chair, she sponsored and passed the U.S.-Israel Energy Cooperation Bill. I don't see any problem there at all.
I don't either.
And James Woosley served as the Director of Central Intelligence.
Ooh.
And as an Undersecretary of the Navy from 77 to 79, he was Director of Central Intelligence from 93 to 95. He is also the co-founder of the United States Energy Security Council and is the chairman of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. They will be joining Mr. Richard Cheney, which some people may know as Vice President Dick Cheney.
Or Mein Fuhrer. Yeah.
Rupert Murdoch, Lord Jacob Rothschild. So that happened.
That was great.
That was
some good. That was some good broadcast right there.
There's some ridiculous info for everybody. Yeah.
We got to throw this out there. If anybody's listening, trying to call in, we're experiencing some problems with our phones this evening. So please bear with us. We're working on it diligently. Let's talk about, since you brought up the CIA, we've been laughing our asses off about this one because we have brought this up on the show so many times. We're also joined in the studio with two friends of the show who have been on previous broadcasts, Chase and Doug. Fellas, it finally came out. Vice.com released the documents obtained through the Freedom of Information Act that proves that the CIA helped produce and pretty much just about halfway write the movie Zero Dark 30.
Wow.
We've talked about it, we've joked about it, because anybody with half a brain who has seen this movie knows full and well that it's a propaganda piece. A lot of, the American Sniper and Nation's Pride type cinema that we've been subjected to as of late. But now we have proof. I mean, we actually have it in black and white.
I've skipped it up to now, but now I've got a reason to watch it.
I'm in the same boat, man. I didn't even know what it was.
I take kind of because it did really well at the box office when it came out.
It did. It grossed a little over $96 million here in the U.S. and about 30-something million overseas, and it got about a little over 130 million gross worldwide.
It's hilarious. Anybody who has not seen this movie needs to get this. Pretty much, you can pick it up for $3 now at the dollar store or something. It's hilarious.
I get cheaper than that.
Yeah, Linux. It helps to have Linux. It really does. We again, where did all that money go? Donald Rumsfeld said in 2001, September 10th, announced that America suddenly just happened to lose $2.3 trillion. Gone.
With a T.
Gone.
Yeah, but that was like over 800 years of doing business. I mean, that's not a lot of money. Think about it.
Yeah, I mean, you compound for interest. I mean, that would have been worth it.
I mean, it really was over a long period of time, but there is a deficit every year of money that they can't trace. They don't know where it went. Every year. The Pentagon has that.
Every year.
Every year. And they still haven't done anything about it. But at that point, it was $2.3 trillion. Wonder what it is now.
Oh, we know.
Oh, it's got to be a lot more.
I believe
that was back.
What was the last figure that we reported on this show? I believe it was 9 and counting. Well over 9.
Yeah, I mean they
trillion with a T.
Back in August, that they announced that they had lost like 800 million or something they couldn't account for, which compared to 2.3 trillion.
Yeah, 800 million.
Yeah, but that was just for August.
Yeah. That was for the fiscal month of August. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that happened.
So, what do you do though when that amount of money goes missing and nobody cares? Everybody's still talking about Trump and Hillary, or there's emails.
Or Kim Davis or Bruce Jenner or whatever the hell.
Oh,
the Confederate flags and some woman who thinks she's an African American who isn't.
Bruce Jenner still thinks he's a Republican. Sorry, Caitlyn Jenner.
Caitlyn, yeah. Watch that now.
I seen that. I just read that.
But here's the here's the thing is Caitlyn Jenner finally figured out what sex she was on the inside, but still hasn't figured out that there's no difference between being a Republican and being a Democrat.
None whatsoever. None.
Because you better believe, look, if you want to go to war with some people, go vote for Hillary. She'll deliver.
There's a difference. It's just rhetoric, though. I mean, there's nothing real. But the normal person you talk to on the street doesn't. They're just tied up in the rhetoric.
Absolutely.
It's the same point.
So they look at you like you're crazy. You're like, there's no difference. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Man? I mean, one's for food stamps and one isn't. And,
Exactly. And again, if I have anything contrary right now in this election cycle where we're at, if I have anything contrary to say about any of the Republicans, then automatically before I finish the sentence or the paragraph, I'm branded as a Democrat. Oh, well, you one of them Obama supporters. How'd that work out for you? It didn't work out for me at all because I wasn't an Obama supporter. I'm not Republican or Democrat.
That's not
I'm
how
not
it
really
works,
libertarian.
Shannon.
I'm not really one way or the other.
That's not how it works.
I know I'm strictly not a Republican and strictly not a Democrat.
It's America. You got to choose.
And I prefer not to vote for either one of them, primarily because of the two-party paradigm. And I'm sorry, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid anymore. The Kool-Aid tastes like shit.
How's the meme go? In North Korea, they have they get elections and they have one choice, but in America we have two.
right.
Because freedom. We absolutely have a whole bunch of freedom. That's all we get to. Choices.
I mean, if in Korea, if they picked, if they had like we got over here, if they had basically a group that picked two people that you can pick from, you really still don't have a choice.
Especially when those
it just
two
seems like
people are going to do the same thing.
I commented to somebody the other day about, it was actually yesterday, and about our current state, and somebody had pointed out it was either China or North Korea or one of the heavily communist countries, and where their society is much more oppressive than it is here in America. But I posed this question. I said, I really can't figure out which one is worse. A overt slavery which you're pretty much a slave. You can look down and see the chains on your arm, or subversive slavery, like pretty much what we're seeing with the American government right now. I mean, isn't giving a man hope one of the cruel, especially when you know that it is completely needless. Giving a man hope, isn't that one of the most cruelest things that you can do?
Are you suggesting that we don't have freedom? Are you suggesting that the government spies on everything that
That's
we
why
do?
they called it the Freedom Act.
It's an
like
act.
acting, like playing.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what it is.
It's an act.
Acts can be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Acts can be fun.
Yeah, if you're the one holding the cards or all the money, yeah, I can be fun all the way down the road to your private island down in the Bahamas.
It's really just infuriating. I'm just sitting here thinking back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. I mean, as far as the whole refugee crisis and everything,
Because you can't take your mind off that. Once you start wrapping your head around all of those numbers and all of the figures, and the fact that again, this is American policy at play right here. And you see now why the rest of the world absolutely hates us. And the rest of the world is talking about this. And we cut on, the CNN or Fox News or whoever, and it's all about Kim Davis and that little thing. And and I think there's a lot of crap going on there on both sides, and it's bringing a lot of things to light that the casual American public is going to go straight over their head.
And I get the whole,
like the fact that the institution of marriage shouldn't have government
it
involved.
shouldn't be, but this is not going to be a popular statement. I really could care less. If you really think that people not getting a sheet of paper in the state of Kentucky is as important as 4 million Syrians being displaced, over 4,500 people in Yemen being killed, we're talking about children losing their life. We're talking about absolutely horrendous crimes against humanity here. They're not even on the same level with each other. Sorry, if I had my choice, I would rather the media be focusing on the United States policies that are causing millions of deaths, millions of people being displaced, and they want to continue to death. That's the thing. The United States, their solution is always more violence. What has that solved?
20% of the Syrian population is gone from that country right now. Another 30%, which is a total of 50%, another 30% is still trapped within the country, displaced, removed from their home, and gotten as far away from the war zone as they can, but apparently not far enough. That's incredible. Half of their population is displaced right now.
And this is what the United States wants. This is what the UK wants.
This is what we pay for.
You better believe it. That's what our tax dollars are going for. So we're talking about, getting tax breaks. Let's talk about where the tax dollars are going and who, where those tax dollars and who they're breaking. Let's talk about that.
Wonder how much Dick Cheney's going to pay in taxes. Oh, no, it's actually going to swing quite the opposite way for him now, isn't it?
He may, certain people do profit off of war. I think we've seen that.
Halliburton.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Central banks.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And but that's another topic nobody wants to talk about.
It's how all of this ties together, because whenever we have an economic upheaval, next thing you know, everybody starts fighting. It's funny how that works. What happened right before World War II?
Currency wars. We're having them right now.
Yep.
I mean, again, we're seeing, a smaller amount than Syria, but we're seeing refugees come from Libya. Why did he have to go? What was he doing? The dinar. They didn't want to deal with that. You better stay on the petrodollar, you're gone.
And again, and other people have provided the counterpoint. Same thing when you talk about Saddam. Well, he was an asshole. Yeah, he was an asshole. How was he any bigger of an asshole than George W. Bush or Barack Obama? Come on now. I mean, let's start adding these figures up. Tell me this ain't the business.
This is how I think
He wasn't in with the World Banking Cartel.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
But I think there is this dynamic and mentality in the United States, and they see, well, our government isn't killing us, they're killing people overseas. First off, I think there's a percentage of the population that doesn't believe that our government would kill innocent people. And I think they tell themselves that, well, if they're killing them, they must be bad guys because our government wouldn't do that.
Yeah, didn't you see American Sniper? Didn't you see the sneer on those terrorist faces when they were shooting at Chris Kyle? A poor, scared, alone Chris Kyle on that rooftop.
Our government loves us. They want what's best for us.
I mean, that right there is, and again, that right there is the image that we have of the Arab population here in America, as well as Muslims here in America. Is that sneer? Is that just a little bit of black around the eyes just to give it that dramatic effect?
And it's all about keeping everybody divided.
Mm-hmm.
So the haves can keep having. And it's not even so much, there is a huge divide right now between the haves and the have-nots. But,
and it's wider now than I think it ever has been.
Yeah.
Or at least in modern civilization.
But, the haves just care about what they can have, and if it's a result of keeping other people oppressed, that's what they're going to do. But as bad, again, as things are in the United States right now, it could be so much worse. It really could be so much worse.
Yeah.
And
we really are. We really still are head and shoulders above most of the world.
We're seeing that right now.
But the direct result of that, though, is not because we go out and fight these wars. I think that actually starts to begin. We've evolved so much that now we've started to de-evolve, and we're turning back into just this violent, barbaric. Really, and not only that, but coupled with another subject we can talk for hours and hours about Common Core education and what it's done to dumb down the population.
They were doing a pretty good job before Common Core.
Oh,
they
absolutely.
were.
The
United States
was built nail in the coffin.
The United States was built off of violence, and it's not like the United States just got violent in the past 10 years or since 9/11. Think about Vietnam.
That was a violent time in American history.
Right. And ironically, that was kicked off full-fledged by a false flag. Look it up.
Vietnam.
By Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
In the Gulf of Tonkin.
Gulf of Tonkin incident.
So, and then that leads us back to.
It wasn't even a false flag. It didn't even happen.
It was just Johnson saying some things.
It was just a phony flag. Yeah.
Oh, Lyndon. But we've got September 11th tomorrow. Fear, fear, fear. Thank God you're all safe. These other people running from countries, we're just trying to keep them safe. The beginning of 2012, there were a little over 10,000 Syrian refugees. There's over 4 million right now. That's a problem. And everybody keeps blaming Assad, but Assad's there, again, he's no great man, but he's there trying to deal with ISIS and the insurgency that he's seeing in that country. And where did ISIS come from? That's something nobody wants to touch. But ISIS is a direct result of the United States being involved in Iraq. They were trained, funded, and it got out of control. Or what, there's a lot of theories on ISIS, but the one thing that I think anybody can agree on, if you look at the actual facts, is ISIS would not exist without the United States' involvement in Iraq, one way or another.
The region, anybody would agree. The region now, and I'm not saying I'm like Saddam or anything, but the region is worse off now than it was 15 years ago.
Of course it is.
It's worse off now. Well, I ain't gonna go that far, but it's pretty bad.
And it's sad because it goes back to what Shannon was saying earlier. You have to sit here and say, well, of course Saddam was bad, but you have to say that because we live in this very black and white society where, oh, you don't like Bush, well, you must like Obama, and people don't understand that there can be two bad people on both of sides of a war.
I was actually explaining that to somebody today. They were going on how I was explaining to him what was going on in Syria and the Middle East and all that. And it's like a lot of people we was talking about earlier don't even know about a lot of Obama's drone strikes in the Middle East. And I was trying to
Oh, he
tell
won a
somebody-
Nobel Peace Prize. He wouldn't do
Well,
that.
I was telling somebody today, look, man, yes, Bush probably did start this, but Obama continued it. You can keep blaming Bush, but it's still going on. You know what I mean? By our current leader.
It's very true. Obama's a front man. I think everybody knows that. The next president's going to be a front man. The next president is going
I mean, who better than Donald Trump?
Fireman Supreme.
There you go. I think now we can open up this discussion to where this really needs to go. Is the one and true candidate, Pony Party,
I'm
Fireman
behind
Supreme.
Ric Flair.
See, that's
Well,
what I
that's
say.
it.
I'm all about the Flair Spurrier ticket. You know,
I would vote for Steve Spurrier in a heartbeat.
But not Ric Flair?
I wouldn't get him to coach my team. I think he's already passed his prime, but
look, to be
he'd
the
make a hell of
man,
an offensive coordinator for the NFL.
What's the Flair slogan?
You know,
to be the man, you got to beat the man. And I tell you what, last I checked, Donald Trump doesn't have 16 world titles. So
No, he really
I
doesn't.
will say, I think that
That was it. That's going to be the slogan.
That right there. I
Campaign
mean,
slogan.
yeah, it doesn't get much better now. Now, I can't back up off my boy Vermin Supreme. That man's been on the front line for quite some time. The boot is still firmly on his head. Supreme 16. It's the way to be.
And for those of y'all that missed it, we interviewed him, a couple weeks ago now?
Oh, man, please go check out
Right.
that
Check it out on
interview. Great
YouTube.
interview.
great interview.
That was last week, wasn't it?
I know it was one of them weeks. I don't know.
I think
All this mescaline I've been taking is
I
not
feel
quite
strongly
wore off.
last week. It's the only time I've actually ever tried to call in.
Yeah, we didn't really get any calls.
Yeah, we have no way to receive calls tonight. I'm sorry, everybody. It's just, I guess it wasn't y'all's night.
I can
Please-
receive them.
Please keep tuning in. Yeah, you've got the mind link function?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what else do we have on here? I kind of wanted to touch on this for a minute. I know we're getting kind of late in the broadcast. This has been very strange. We have a story up on antimedia.org up right now about a alternative medicine summit that was taking place in Germany. Ended in a little bit of I don't know, just had a little bit of a weird ending. Apparently, they had over 24 people came up like poisoned. I guess is that the way to say it? Poisoned, or they had either ingested on purpose or on accident. We're still trying to get to the bottom of that. This it's kind of like LSD and like MDMA or something like that. As far as the effects of it, it's called 2CE. It's also known as aqua rust. I've never heard of that before. I guess I'm not hip with the new club drug scene. But apparently, the first responders were called out to basically take care of a bunch of people that were wrapped up in the fetal position and spouting a bunch of gibberish. They were pretty messed up. Now, something like this would, you kind of have to think, okay, well, why are we talking about this? Because very quietly, there has been a lot of mysterious deaths in the holistic and alternative medicine community. There was also another one. I've got to pull this one up real quick, too. Let me get back here for a second. I'm done walking a mile.
You know, it reminds me, too, and we've got another story up real quick. It kind of ties in this a little bit, is about when the U.S. government poisoned thousands of Americans during Prohibition. For anybody that wants to research that a little bit more, we've got that story right now on the front page of the antimedia.org.
This is another, but again, this is just a sampling of one of the stories. Somebody sent me this today. It was actually came off of naturalnews.com, which is kind of a holistic medicine and herbs and kind of things going on. But they
sometimes they're not to be so trusted, but
this is very true. But went and did a little bit of back research on this too, and this is a strange case. This comes out of actually Sharon, Pennsylvania. A holistic doctor by the name of Dr. Mary Renee Bouvier. She was reportedly found stabbed to death in her home. And it was kind of, reported by one of the neighbors. They hadn't seen her in a while, or, that there possibly something had happened. They went to investigate on their own. They found out that she had been stabbed. They investigated the neighbor, come to his house, went through the whole interrogation and whatnot, and they pretty much cleared him now. So we have yet another mysterious death by an alternative medicine or a holistic doctor. The weird thing about Dr. Bouvier, and this is very strange, is that she wasn't just your normal, kind of herbs and pills kind of person. She was actually a specialist that, dealt with osteopathics. Very highly specialized, and had a very storied career. Was actually very well respected in the alternative medicine community. It was also she's the 10th that's come up dead in America within the past few months, and then now we have this case about the summit out in Germany, and then we talked widely on the show a lot about the FDA's involvement in what gets put on shelves, what doesn't get put on shelves. We talked last week with Ms. Claire about the crazy story, the FDA attacking the alternative egg substance that's made out of plants, attacking that company, and actually supporting other companies and attacking them, other companies that have paid lobbyists from the egg board that work very closely hand in hand with the FDA.
You're telling me that lobbyists would try to put down something that would threaten their business?
Nestle, yeah.
That would never happen.
I said it.
Yeah, geez. That's what we're seeing, though. I mean, that's what the government does, whether it's through lobbyists, whether it's through corporate America. I mean, people have to remember that we are an oligarchy right now.
And why do we as citizens allow this to happen?
Because we're more interested.
I mean, we could sit and wring our hands and moan about it, this, that, and the other, but why are we allowing it to happen?
Well, we don't have. There's no critical capacity left in the American brain.
Well, we were talking about it earlier. The education system, the media, all kinds of crap that they shoving in everybody's heads.
Go tell somebody the stuff you're saying tonight. Just anybody, find somebody that believes in the system, and they're going to look at you and they're going to say, "Oh, you're one of those. I heard about you on the
hat. Yeah,
I heard about you on the news."
Yeah. I've been
And
told
they
to steer clear from you.
Right.
And that's the thing. I think the media is controlling really the mentality of the majority of Americans, because they tell you, if somebody believes this, then, oh, no. I mean, there's 28 pages sitting in Congress that has been read by congressmen that pretty much says that Saudi funded 9/11. But if you believe anything than what's in the 9/11 Commission report, you're crazy. That's what the mainstream media would have you believe. Sorry. Look at these polls, okay? They sit here and tell you one day, well, Trump's at 40%, Ben Carson's at 20%. They can just tell you anything. Like they're telling you who to vote for. They could just say any number they want, and people will believe it. Well, that must be true. This person's getting steam. Maybe that's who I should look at and vote for. People don't realize the manipulation by the media. I talk about it all the time because I've never seen anything like it in my life than with Romney. I mean, the media was just like, "You're going to vote for this guy. Sorry, you're going to vote for him.
Oh yeah,
he's going to get the nomination, and deal with it."
He has it all but secured. Yeah,
it was so blatant. So it's going to happen again this time. They're not being as upfront about it, because at this point for the 2012 election, 2011, they were already saying you're going to get Romney. And right now, it could be Jeb Bush, it could be Rubio. What's Donald Trump? We don't know. Is he going to outspend and outlast? But the media...
Well, I mean, and again, he's going to outspend and he will outlast at this point. I mean, he's gained so much traction right now. He would be a fool to not press even further. And again, he needs to come out with the former Hulk Hogan theme song behind him, both middle fingers in the air, He needs to go full idiocracy about it.
He should. He might as well.
And again, he pretty much already has. If you look at all of the news reports, whether it be from the right or the left, they both hate his guts. And they've all thrown up all the quotes that he has said out of his own mouth and is widely covered in print, is widely available on the internet, YouTube videos, whatever, however you want to get your source. I mean, Donald Trump is very quotable for saying some very outrageous stuff. And he's thrown this stuff is thrown back at him. I mean, look at the Bernie Sanders things at the hit that he took for I think it was an alternative media story that he wrote back in the 70s about something to the effect that women fantasize about rape or this, that, and the other, so on and so forth. And took a lot of flack for that, and actually took a little bit of a hit. Not much of a hit, but took a little bit of a hit at that moment when it came out.
But
Trump quote comes out, and his poll numbers just seem to go up, and the media hates that.
But if you've noticed, the media will, if they were really trying to suppress Donald Trump, they wouldn't be reporting on him. But at the end of the day, it's all about money. And when they report,
and ratings,
yeah, you better believe it.
Yeah,
and when they report on him, people watch because
it could be that the media has figured out that whoever they endorse takes a dive, and whoever they actually criticize goes up. And it really just could be that the media has figured out a way to get a guy elected and act like they're not trying to get him elected.
But
people do not listen to the media anymore.
No,
they
don't.
go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
But everything that they're trying to do with Trump, it doesn't work.
But how do we know that? How do we know they're trying to do that? Maybe they're trying to do that.
One minute they're for him, 1 minute they're against him, but they're still going to report him.
Well, as long as they're making money at the end of the day,
they don't care.
As long as Rupert Murdoch's making money at the end of the day,
he's about to make some.
Donald Trump's got a lot of money. He likes the central bank. He loves the system the way it is. I mean, if I was Donald Trump, I wouldn't want to do anything about the central bank. Would you?
Yeah,
I mean,
you got a good point.
He's not going to do that.
No.
I mean, it's
Absolutely.
working. It's working for Donald.
absolutely.
And
And we're also talking about, again, yet just another paid spokesperson for America. I mean, the interests are behind the seat of the United States president are always going to have their way, no matter what. That's why we're still camped out over in the Middle East right now.
And we're going to be.
For a while. Good long while.
Mm-hmm.
Dick Cheney and Lord Rothschild are signed on
Well, that's because they're...
for the long haul.
That's it. They're just trying to do good. They're just good Samaritans. They're just good Samaritans.
Donald Cheney was dead.
Who?
He was, Donald Cheney. I was Donald Rumsfeld. That's what I was thinking about. Dick Cheney was dead. Served actually as Vice President of America, technically, legally, as a dead person. Didn't have a heartbeat.
He said it was kind of cool. I seen an interview. No pulse.
Yeah.
He said it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Does he still have... I don't think he does have a pulse now.
I mean, wow.
I mean, you got to give him this. He's still doubling down on we should be over there. He's not backing off of that.
Yes. Absolutely.
But I wonder why.
Absolutely. I mean, because there's money to be made over there. A whole ocean of oil.
Yeah. And that ocean is right under the ground. In the Middle East. Money, money, money.
Saudi Arabia is still our friend.
I tell you what, we got a couple minutes here. Shannon, what do you think about tomorrow, 9/11?
I'm still trying to get past today. 9/10. $2 trillion gone. Just like that, gone. And the next day, we're seeing jet fuel melt steel beams.
It happened. You better believe it. And building
And a bunch of innocent Americans lost their lives.
Now, don't
That's
forget.
hard.
It had to be coincidental.
It was the
Well, I tell you what, we're back next Tuesday.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.